Today on the 5-Minute Sales Training, we're going to begin a 4-part series on selling to generational buyers, starting with Millennials. Welcome everyone to another 5-Minute Sales Training. We're just launching now a 4-part series. This is part 1 on how to sell to buyers in different generations. Today, we're going to start by talking about millennial buyers, and to do that, I had a great sit-down conversation with Taylor Humphrey from Dallas, Texas on that subject. I think you're going to enjoy this. Welcome, Taylor. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
How are you?
Good. Let's talk a little bit about the millennial buyer, that first-time buyer category. What is it about that target buyer that is particularly unique in personality as we compare them against other generational buyers?
Yeah, so being the elder millennial, I'll speak to that. I'm on the upper end of it. We look for everything online. We want to know as much as we can before we even come into the sales office, right?
So, but why? Why would a millennial want to do that versus, say, an Xer?
Well, because one, we grew up that way, right? For a lot of us, we grew up with technology, or we were newly introduced to it. And then also we're looking for trust, right? Now, anything that I want to do, whether it's changing the oil in my car, I can find it on YouTube or Yelp. I can go and see what's going on with this restaurant. So I learn as much as I can so that I feel like, hey, I'm coming in and I am just as equal to the salesperson that I'm sitting across from.
You mentioned the word trust. You know that we have talked a lot about this idea that trust is an offshoot of likability. There are other ways to build trust, but that's one. Does that hold up with the millennial buyer? Do they still follow that heuristic that if I like you, I tend to trust you?
100%, but it also can be the detriment, right? So because I have all this information at my fingertips, you better know what you're talking about, right? You need to know what is being said about your own company, what's being offered on your websites. You got to be 100% up to date on that. So that way, whenever you're talking to it, they're mentally validating everything you're saying based on what they already read online.
What makes millennials enjoyable to work with? What makes millennials difficult to work with?
Well, for millennials, I mean, they're really invested in the process, right? So you have an opportunity to make this amazing. Sometimes they've been through this process, and so maybe the bar was set really low. Maybe they haven't been through it and it's their first time, and you can set the bar really high, right? You can make it a really great experience because they're so invested in it. A lot of the times you can use a lot of the knowledge that the industry terms that you would use on a day-to-day because they've done the homework. They know what you're talking about, right? What can make them difficult to work with, though, is if you don't know those things and you lose that trust. It's very short. Once you lose that trust, they just can't validate what you're trying to say, and then the relationship can go downhill very quickly. Now, also on a making it exciting is that a lot of times millennials at this stage in their life, they're having a really great trigger event or a big trigger event, and they're looking at you to solve that problem. So look at that as an opportunity.
You're talking consistently about them being well informed. I'm not going to argue with you on that, but they're still first-time buyers. They've never done this before. Are they particularly well-informed, but also a little bit naive? Is that a fair way to categorize them?
Absolutely, right. So it's like WebMD. You can go find everything on the internet, but you can also go find everything on the internet, good and bad, right? So, or they even have, like, we'll say, a family member that's informed them, and watch out for these things. So you as a professional, you have to be definitely on your game, but then also prepared to answer those objections that they may already have because they found them online.
Yeah. Last question here. Any advice for somebody who's moving to a community where they're going to be selling to millennials and maybe they don't have a lot of experience in that area?
Like I said, make sure that you're aware of what's going on online. If there's any objections about your community, about your product, whatever it is, make sure you have a response for it and validate it. Hey, yes, I saw that, and have a background to it. Have a good mindset on it, right? Like, so I'm real big on protecting millennials because I am one for so long. It was, oh, you guys have to have everything your way and there's this negative mindset for it. But if you go into it with a positive, like, hey, I understand that about them and I'm going to help them, it'll change your whole mentality.
Love it. Love it. Taylor Humphrey, always good to talk to you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
There you go. Wise words from Taylor Humphrey. I hope you got a lot out of that. Stay tuned because we're going to hit 3 other classifications of buyers in the weeks to come. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you hit that like button. And until next time, learn more, turn more.